Okay, take it away.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Lodi, and I am a peer health leader. And today I'm going to talk about different healthy coping mechanisms with stress and just giving a simple definition of what stress is. So, I guess to begin, I'm going to just call what my presentation is titled, and it's called De-Stress Yourself. And it's going to be about healthy coping with stress and how to just deal with stressors in general in life. So, does anyone know like what stress really is? Feel free to like tap write in the chat if you want to know like what stress is or anything, or what you think it is. If not, I can just give like a simple definition. Stress is just a normal reaction the body has when changes occur, which often results in physical and emotional responses. This is different because physical and emotional responses they differ from each other. And there's many different types of stressors that occur in daily life. There's, as everyone knows, there's work stress, home life stress, work life balance stress, financial stress, and many more. And all of these differ from one another. Work stress could be very different from financial stress, and similarly, work life balance could be very different from work stress. So, everyone has most likely experienced stress in their life so far. If not, you're quite lucky, and I would love to get to know how you just don't have stress. However, most people have stress in their lives, and the most important thing we can do is to learn how to manage the stressors in our lives and to develop healthy coping mechanisms. And it's important to develop these healthy coping mechanisms early on in your life, as when you get older, you will more likely fall back on these healthy coping mechanisms if you develop them early in your life, especially in college, because you could carry with these healthy coping mechanisms up until like your 60s or 70s, or even like when you get into like your career and everything. So, a lot of people don't really know how to identify the stress in your life. Does anyone want to discuss like how you possibly identify the stress in your life?
I know that when I'm stressed out, it manifests in me being like on edge or things that I love to believe, like my animals or whatever. Like I love them so much. And when I'm stressed out, everything I think that they do that is really cute, like gets on my nerves. And so that's how I know, okay, I'm stressed out, something's up, and I have to kind of check myself.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. That's pretty common to me as well. I love like my family and my friends, but often they get on my nerves sometimes, and I just wonder why because I love them so much. And similarly, it's just because I'm on edge because of all the stress in my life. In a lot of ways, people just don't know. Stress just has an easy way of just creeping up on you. A lot of people don't even know the symptoms that they're experiencing are like due to stress. So I kind of categorize the different symptoms of stress and like how to identify them in three general categories. So there's cognitive, emotional, and physical. Physical is usually the one is most easily identifiable just because you have aches, pains, intestinal problems, headaches, or you have frequent colds or flu. I know whenever I'm stressed, my stomach usually hurts. I get headaches, and I usually get sick quite often. I guess I don't get sick as much anymore with like since we have to wear masks and everything. But I remember last year, I would always get colds and flus, and I never like realized why until I was actually doing this presentation, and I realized, oh wow, my stress manifested itself into physical symptoms. Similarly, there can also be cognitive symptoms, which include memory loss, inability to concentrate, constant worrying, and then focusing on the negative. And then emotional symptoms can manifest themselves as loneliness, isolation, irritability, or anger. A lot of people often, let's see the chat. Um, Okay. Lainey said, please let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I think it's Lainey, and she says, if I'm super stressed, I get more nauseous and I don't feel like eating. Thank you for sharing that.
It's Lonnie.
Lonnie, okay, I'm sorry. It's a bad
Fine.
name. And I'm the same way. I get super stressed. And I get nauseous as well, and I don't really feel like eating. A lot of people tend to like overeat, which is another coping mechanism. It's not healthy, but I'm the same way. I don't feel like eating either when I'm just so stressed. So I definitely know how that feels. Okay. Let's see if it will let me go to the next slide. Okay. So, emotional stress. Emotional stress often involves the experience of a negative effect that causes a physiological stress response. So, we kind of went over some symptoms of emotional stress. So, what do you think are some symptoms of emotional stress?
I think, like we said earlier, kind of the like irritability or feeling just like you can't go on. As dramatic as that sounds, it's like you're just very overwhelmed with everything that's happening. That's happened to me in the past.
Thank you for sharing. And yes, that is one of the most common symptoms of emotional stress. And it's a lot. It can happen. It doesn't even have to be because of a negative effect or anything, but also a lot of emotional stress often tends to manifest itself after a big negative effect like say you lose your job, for instance, or you have a big financial stressor, or even there's like a death in your family or something tragic changes. And that can cause physiological stress responses within your body. So, cognitive stress. So, as we can talk about, we kind of went over the symptoms of cognitive stress. But how do you think cognitive stress kind of differs from emotional stress? And if you don't know the answer, that's okay too.
I think from what you said earlier, cognitive stress might be more like I can't concentrate on anything, like manifesting in that way where you're kind of scatterbrained or like don't know where to start. And then that just leads to more stress because then you're not doing what you need to get done and things like that.
Yes, that's exactly correct. So cognitive stress, I kind of think about it more cognitive, like the brain and everything, because it is your inability to concentrate, and you can't. So you can't concentrate, and that for me that makes me more stressed because I can't concentrate, so I can't study, and then it's just like a vicious cycle. Oh, I can't do this, and then it leads to emotional stress. So the two are intertwined and they're interconnected, and emotional stress can stem from cognitive stress and vice versa. Emotional stress can also stem from cognitive stress. So we're always talking about all these different types of stress and how it's bad. And usually when you think of stress, it has a negative connotation connected to it. However, a lot of people don't think there is good stress. So do you guys think there is such a thing as good stress, or do you think it's just all bad? I mean, I know like the answer is on the screen, but pretend it wasn't. Do you think there is such a thing as good stress? Okay, Lonnie said yes, and she is absolutely correct. A lot of people don't know like what the technical term is, and it's good stress is just technically known as eustress. And eustress differs from regular stress, as this stress is felt when we feel excited, but there's usually no fear or anger associated with eustress. Can you guys give any examples of eustress by chance?
I think a good one is like when you're about to public speak and you're kind of like anxious and you're a little stressed out and you don't know how it's going to go, but that gets your adrenaline going. And then kind of afterwards, you feel like you've accomplished something and the stress goes away. Um, I know that's definitely happened to me. Lonnie said going on a roller coaster. Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. Thank you guys. Yeah, that's great. Going on a roller coaster and public speaking, those are like the two ones I thought of immediately. Um, Going on a roller coaster, I kind of like that one because it is, for some people, they like that little like tension that builds like right before you're about to like go down on the hill and everything. Um, and vacation starting, yes, that's also a good one because you're excited, but then there's also stress with the flights, trying to get everything situated, not trying to making sure you pack enough and not packing um, too little either. So these are great examples of eustress. A good one I kind of think of is like right before a test. You're not like super stressed, but like right before you give the test, you're just like a little bit. So you can just have a little bit of adrenaline going in you before you give this test. Let's see. Okay. Now that we have given you some options how to like identify your stress, what should you do? So the first step, as we kind of like discussed previously, is just managing your stress. Is the first step in managing your stress is to identify your stress. And there are many ways that you can manage your stress using healthy coping mechanisms. However, there are also many unhealthy coping mechanisms as well. So the first step is just to identify your stress. So is it cognitive? Is it emotional? Or is it physical? And they can be a variety of all three. You could have all three symptoms persisting. You could just have one. Usually, um, in my experience, you usually have a combination of all three or at least two. But so since you've identified your stress, you have to learn how to healthy cope with them. And a lot of people tend to not cope. Let me see what the chat says. I usually have all three. Same. I usually have all three. I usually have one symptom of each one. Um, but in a lot of way, people just don't understand like how to cope with it because it's a lot of stress and sometimes it becomes so overwhelming you don't know where to begin. And I've been victim of this as well. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to talk about like unhealthy coping mechanisms. So many individuals, as you probably know, usually turns towards drug or alcohol to manage their stress, especially as college students, because as you get older, it's more accessible to you to get these drugs and alcohol. And a lot of students, sadly, go towards drugs and alcohol because it's an easy fix, because all you do is just drink it away. However, alcohol and drugs are often very addictive substances, and addiction is another unhealthy coping mechanism. And also, alcohol is a depressant. And so, if you're often stressed about something, you're often have symptoms of sadness, and you may have symptoms of depression, but usually, maybe it depends. But usually, you're feeling a little bit sad as well. And alcohol is a depressant, so it might make you feel better in the moment, but it does not, as it's a depressant. It destimulates your central nervous system, and it's just not good overall. So, I would like to talk about some healthy coping mechanisms. So, one of my favorites is exercising. I love going for runs. I love doing yoga, cycle classes. It's one of my favorites because also exercise releases endorphins and serotonin levels, which increases like your happiness, and it just makes you feel better in general. And it's a great way just to release all that anger and stress from just like school. So I usually go for a run like right after school ends. That's one of my favorite ones. Do you guys have any coping mechanisms that you guys participate in or didn't know that you participate in, that you're like willing to share?
I think for me, it's like finding times to do nothing is really important because I am so busy. Like I'm in grad school, I work full time, I'm in a practicum. And so giving myself the ability to like take an evening off is how I deal with stress in a healthy way.
Yes, a lot of people don't take breaks for themselves, especially people who are busy with like, especially college students and grad students, especially. It's hard to take a break from everything. I struggle with that too. It's very difficult for me just to sit down and take a break, but it's very important that you take a break, whether it be a 20-minute break or like you just take the whole day off and you just do something for yourself. And a lot of people don't realize the importance of just taking out time for yourself. And I wish more people kind of realize that it's very important for not only for yourself, but also for your mental health. Um, you said you usually read or play a favorite game. Oh, that's a good one. I love reading. I haven't read in a really long time, but I love reading books, and that's a good one because it can just let you practice mindfulness as you're just reading or playing a favorite game. That's often like a really good one. Oh, those are really good ideas. Thank you.
I would
Um,
echo that. I like in between semesters, I try to challenge myself to read like at least two books for pleasure.
yeah.
It's kind of like a way to unwind.
Yes, that's a really good one. I need to start doing that. I have been trying to read a book, but it's just been piling on with like schoolwork and stuff. But I do need to take out time to read because reading is a really good way just to unwind after your day, as you said. And it's just a really good way. It's a really good coping mechanism, actually. Some other ones are talking to others. Some people like to talk to others, some people don't. A lot of my friends usually keep it all in, their stress and everything, and that's not really healthy. Just talk to like not even a confidant or just like your friends or family and just express how you're feeling. And that really helps. That really helps me. I'm a big talker, and talking it out just kind of helps me feel better. You have to be available for yourself too. Realize that you can't do everything and it's okay to take a break sometimes. And then this sounds silly, but you have to make sure to just schedule time to have fun and actually just relax. This is something I struggle with immensely. It's really hard for me just to like schedule time to like, oh, maybe I'll just go to the mall with a couple of my friends. I'll go out to dinner and actually just like have a good time just because I'm always in doing research or doing schoolwork or working or trying to get volunteering. And it's just kind of hard to balance all of that. But there's always time for having fun, whether it be 5 or even 10 minutes or even like the whole day. So, okay. So I'm going to talk about a couple resources that are available on campus because I didn't really realize that UCL offers a surplus of resources for students and everything. Um, Oh, I love that. You write in a grateful journal, not journey, sorry. Think of one good thing or something you're looking forward to. Oh, I love that. That's such a good idea. That's another way, that's a great coping mechanism. That's also just a great like life life hack, I guess. That's great because every day you can kind of start off in your little journal and thinking about you're looking forward to, and it just kind of starts your day on a positive note. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool, actually. I might have to start doing that as well. Um, so a couple resources on campus is of course a Center for Counseling and Wellbeing. And they're doing virtual walk-in counseling right now. So it's virtual right now. Hopefully with all the vaccinations and everything, it will go back towards in person. We also have a YouTube page, and I will put the link up soon and I will send it out. We also have Comic Central Tau Self Help, which is an app. Excuse me, it's an app and it's really helpful. I have it on my phone and there's like different like techniques you can practice and everything, like different breathing exercises and um, different things you can do. Oh, okay, and you got the suggestion from the health app. Oh, I'm glad you're using that. That's great. Okay, that's really good. I'm glad. And then we also have fostering student success. So, and then if you guys have any questions, please contact Health Promotion at healthpromotion@uco.edu. And then the Center for Counseling and Wellbeing, I have the number listed right there. And if you're ever on campus, it's room 402 in the Nye University Center. And it's on the 4th floor. So if you ever just want to go up there, I've been up there a couple times. It's very nice. And let me see what the chat says. Oh, and Mackenzie, she just put in the link. So thank you for doing that. And I guess that will be the end of my presentation. And I'll open it up to any questions that you all may have. And I do agree, Lonnie, they're very great. exceptional. And I'm glad that you utilize that resource on campus because a lot of people don't. So does anyone have like any questions or anything by chance?
I don't have a question. I was just gonna say, Lonnie, it sounds like you're familiar with the Center for Counseling and Wellbeing. So I did put that link in there, but also the TAO Assistance Program, it's therapy assistance online that Caitlin mentioned. They have a lot of, aside from stress management, mindfulness techniques. And so videos as a way to calm and kind of debrief with yourself. So that's a really good resource I wanted to make sure everybody had.
Thank you so much for sharing. What's the central calming? Let me go back to that.
Calming Central.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what you're kind of asking about, Lonnie?
Do you want to answer it, Caitlin?
You can go ahead and answer if you'd like.
Okay. So the Calming Central is a space that's in the NIE. It has massage chairs, like yoga mats. Right now, due to COVID, we ask that you reserve a space, reserve a time to go up there, but it is available. And you can find the link on the Center for Counseling and Wellbeing page to reserve a time. So it's just a space for students to take a break, relax, if they need a very quiet place to do homework or things like that. So it's a free resource that's great to utilize if you are on campus.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. A lot of people don't know about it. And it's a really great resource. And it's just right in by the NIE. Actually, I'm pointing as I know you all can't see, but I'm like right by the NIE. And it's a great resource, and the massage chairs are wonderful, and it's a great resource. So make sure just to book it, and it will be a great way just to de-stress after your day. So yeah. So if there's no further questions, I would just like to thank everyone for attending. And if you have any more questions, just feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat. If I can. Yes, I'll put my email in the chat. If anyone has any questions, and then also you can always ask uco.edu, the health promotion. And I'm always here, usually on campus, so you can feel free to shoot me an email or anything, and I respond to my emails really fast. So in conclusion, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming, and I hope you learned a little bit about stress and healthy coping with stress.